What's up, y'all? It's your girl Amanda, and welcome to another episode of the Dope Confidence Podcast. As always, I'm bringing dope individuals. I like to call them dope queens and dope kings. Individuals that have carved their own path. These individuals have been doing what they love and have been making money from it. That's the most incredible thing. So today I have a really special guest, and I always love it when I talk to entrepreneurs that are in alignment with maybe some things that I have questions about or questions that you have asked. So I'm going to introduce to you today Dianne Shelton. Now, today, this woman right here, this person, she is the founder of Passion Breakthrough. As an online business strategist, she helps heart-led business entrepreneurs, owners, make sales through her C.E.O. success framework. Now, y'all know it is so hard for us to sell, okay? It's hard for us to present to others what we have available, because if you're not selling, it's a hobby, and that's just how I feel. If you're not selling, it's a hobby. But I'm gonna bring her in because we're gonna have a really great conversation. Hey Dianne, how are you?
I'm good. A little cold in Minnesota, but doing well.
Hey, well, you got the sunshine behind you, the lemons back there, all bright and shiny. I'm excited to have this conversation. Pre-podcast, we were talking about sales, and it's really hard for entrepreneurs to sell, and especially I think women, because we struggle with our value and our worth. So I'm excited to deep dive into this conversation. So tell us a little bit about who you are. Tell us about your business, Passion Breakthrough.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Thank you for having me. So for me, I started out in the IT world because I came from the Philippines, moved to Minnesota, and I thought I wanted to really leverage my IT, like kind of logical brain and just go and climb the corporate ladder. But then at the end of the day, it turns out that, hey, like I don't want to be in just a corner glass office with a glass ceiling and everything. It's like a cage. Right. So I decided I'm just going to go, like you said, pave my own way, have more fun doing it, and help other people to do the same thing. So that was about 5 years now in the making. And here we are getting to travel and booking beach trips to get away from winters from Minnesota. And I want other people to enjoy what that means for them in terms of their passion breakthrough as well.
Wow. I think that's amazing. Like what you've explained, like what a shift, right? From IT to doing what you're doing today. Polar opposite worlds, right? Like, I don't even know how that even came about. But how did you enter into being an online business strategist coming from the IT world?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Because so this is kind of embarrassing because now I have a super expensive piece of paper. I went to IT thinking I wanted to get into management. So I got my MBA. I got my degree in computer science, and then I'm just like, oh, I want to be a manager. And I got into the management track. And in management, there is a saying that's like work that rolls downhill and the crack rolls uphill. And so I'm stuck between these two areas, and it's just like it's more political than anything. And it's just like, okay, why am I working for someone else's vision? And in the IT world, there's not a lot of women, especially women of color, that is climbing that management track. That's part of the reason I wanted to do that. And so I started mentoring other women in the IT, in the STEM field. And some of them is just like, okay, I'm not doing, they got out. So some of my mentees, they also started their own business. And I'm just like, I can still help you since I have my MBA anyway. And honestly, I got a little bit of that entrepreneur fever too. It's just like, hey, like, why am I not walking the talk? So I'm just like, okay, let me take the leap of faith and just kind of go all in. And the rest is history, and I never looked back ever since.
Wow. So you said, let me take some of my own medicine. Like, I'm preaching to y'all. Let me preach to myself.
Yes, exactly.
Let me actually do some of the things that I'm teaching other people to do. And that's so crazy. Now, how did you feel making that leap? That is a leap.
Oh, yep. Well, that's the thing that people, like we can talk about it. And if you're listening to the podcast, it's just like, it's inspiring. And I did that, on my bus rides to and from work and just
Mm-hmm.
traveling and those kinds of stuff. But it's one thing to apply it, to actually embody it. And yes, I made a plan in terms of just like within 6 months, here's my plan. I'm going to like use my savings and I'm going to make sure I'm making revenue and all these things. So having a plan is good, but it's more of taking action and being okay with failure and being okay with rejection and getting back up
Mm-hmm.
again the next day and having support because it's hard, you all. So just making sure that you are surrounding yourself with things that is reminding you of why you're doing it. Otherwise it just
Yes.
becomes mundane and you might as well just go back to work, right? So yeah, just all the things. It's hard, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, it's the action, right? That
Mm-hmm.
is like the most scariest but most courageous step that we can take, because like you said, we can have plans. Like we think about, it's the end of the year, everybody's gonna have a vision board party at the end of the year or the beginning of the year, but are we actually taking action on what we visualize for our life to be? And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Mhm. I like how
Yeah.
you said the vision board because, yeah, there is a certain energy at the end or at the beginning of each year. But I
Mm.
like to focus more on the messy middle because, like you're running a race and then pretty soon
Yes.
just like, this was not a great idea. Because you did, like, I've done that. Like, I signed up for a 5K race. I'm just like, oh, it's just 5K. And then I didn't practice. And then I do it anyway. And then halfway through, I'm just like, I can either turn back around, but
Yeah.
at this point of I'm halfway, I might as well keep going.
Mm.
So at the end of the race, you feel good about yourself, but it is messy. You're like painting, you're just like sweating in places you didn't even know you were sweating in. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
push you to your limits, but that's the
Mm.
whole point is that you don't want to be stuck in your comfort zone. It's messy, but that's where
Yes.
growth happens, kind of like plants.
Yes. Yes. The messy middle. Can we talk about that more in 2025? The messy middle. I think if people will be very honest, like you're being honest right now, what that looks like as an entrepreneur, I think it will give others an example of what could be for them, that it's inevitable. The messy middle is going to happen. Some people are a little bit more messier than others, but it's gonna happen. But it's getting to the end, like you said, or to the destination that we have designed on our vision boards in our mind. Wow. So as an entrepreneur, you're talking about the passion breakthrough. Why did you choose that name, passion breakthrough?
Okay, well, that's another messy middle for me because
All right, Diane, break it down, girl.
right. Well, I don't mind being vulnerable and honest
Okay.
because again, like I really like the name, right? Like for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's really helping individuals and this is still my mission at the end of my destination, but it's such a big mission. Like I want everybody to pursue their passion and have a breakthrough. But
Mm.
as I pursued it, honestly, I think I was burnt out of IT. That's why I shied away from implementing like the strategy piece and the systems in the online space. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to help everybody grow up and figure out what they want to be and pursue their passion. Turns out, as adults, a lot of people don't know what it is. And so telling people, hey, like, you're really good at this, you should do this. It's just like they don't want to do it. Again, like plan without action is just like a
Mm-hmm.
fail, like a path to failure.
Yes.
So yeah, I want people to have their breakthrough, but so passion breakthrough, but at the same time it's just like okay, like the passion breakthrough happens in small steps, and
Mm.
when you have your plan and also having your systems and also like support around you that is going to really put the structure in place that allows you to
Mm.
grow with kind of like a fence, right? Like when we feel safe and secure but at the same time we know where our boundaries are, that is really
Mm.
what I feel like where your breakthrough happens because you at least have some clarity and structure in place for yourself.
Yeah. And I know that most of us want to have this overnight success, like, let me put it out there. I'm passionate about doing this. Like, in 3 months, I'm going to be a millionaire. That's like, we all would want that. But, like you said, yeah, it's growth. It takes time, but we have to be intentional about it. And I love that you talk about your passion, because I believe a lot of us, sometimes struggle with knowing what our passion is, kind of get lost in, let me pursue this, let me pursue this degree, let me go into this career, most times because, it makes great money, or make six figures. But we're very passionate about something that maybe we had when we were a child that we kind of like pushed to the side because we didn't think it can make money. Speak to that person about how can we find our passion?
Lean into more of what you find fun. Like in terms of, that's what life is about, is like experiment a little bit and explore and just be okay. Again, like be okay with failure. And like in a sense, I quote unquote throw away my degree, right? Like in a sense that I spent a lot of money, spent a lot of time, and some people might be like, oh my gosh, that's a waste. And like it was a safe, secure job. And I had like, I really loved my job. I really enjoyed, and I was really successful at it. And so it's never too late. You can change your mind. That is what life is. Experience it a little bit. And just, there is no clear path. Again, like the messy middle, lean into the messy and just kind of break things along the way. And that's more fun. Like as kids, we always broke things. And now as adults, we're so afraid something's going to break. But yeah, no, broken dreams is going to be the end of result if you don't break things along the way, I feel like.
Wow. That's a profound statement. Why do you feel that we feel like we can't change our mind or decide to do something different and new? Do you think that it's because of what others may think about our decision?
I think for me, it's twofold. We care too much, and we've been hurt before. As simple as that and as hard as that, it just really comes down to those two things, it feels like.
Yeah, I agree. I do believe we do care a lot about what other people think. Because if you're, an IT girl person, and then all of a sudden you want to be a photographer, and people like, what? You got a
But
friend.
that's why it's even more important that you have the right support around you.
Yes.
Because, some people might be like, oh, does that mean like you're just going to have toxic positivity around you? That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about like people that's going to be like challenge you and be like, are you sure this is the right next step for you? But at the same time, going to push you to be like, well, if this is the right next step for you, what are you going to do about it? You've been talking about this for months, for years. Is this really something you want, or are you just going to keep dreaming about it?
Jeez. You talking today, because I just had this conversation with myself. Like, I was looking through my notes on my iPhone, and there's this particular idea that I've had, and I just pulled the name of there, right, of the idea, and like it was like da, 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 da. For the last 2 years I've been talking about this and putting it in my notes, and like, doggone it, like, just put it out there. Like, what are you doing? And you're so right. You are so right. You should be talking about
Break
this every
things,
day.
just get it out there.
Put it out there. Like, and if it works out, cool. And if it doesn't, and it's not what you thought that you wanted it, then it's okay. Like, it's all right.
Either do it again, or if it's not for you anymore, then put it aside again.
Yes, that is so true. We should care less about what people would have to say about what we're doing, and then the toxic positivity. Man, you dropped some gems today. All right. So you have this framework.
Let's get back on track.
Right. Let's get back on track. But literally, if like people could like get these text messages of reminders of everything that we're talking about right now, I think they will see a difference in their life. Because some people need that, like affirmations. Some people need the support system, but some folks need to hear it every day. Like if a mirror could talk to you every morning, like you just have this thing set like Alexa, don't talk to me right now, because she will. If people could see that in their mirror every day and hear that, it would be very affirming to them and really, confirm so many things within their spirit of what they want to do. So let's talk about your framework. CEO success framework: client, leads, engine, funnel, and offer sales. How did you create the framework? And let's talk about how it has worked for some of the people that you've worked with, your clients.
Yeah, thank you. So I love acronyms. I think it comes from my IT background because even IT itself is an acronym for information technology, in case you didn't know.
I didn't even think about it, but thanks for the reminder.
So yeah, so it's just one of those things that I'm really good at creating framework for my clients. Like I want people to have tangible assets in their business that's not just going to be vanillafied boring things that everyone else is being copy pasted, especially with AI. So I create these sorts of framework for myself and for my clients. So when I created the CEO framework, it's like, okay, it's simple enough and also super powerful in terms of I want more entrepreneurs to step into their CEO role and not work in their business and be
Mm,
busy just for the sake of doing the things. And so client is really where I want people to focus on the growth and also the client journey, because it really is about you serving the people that you want to work with, and only the dreamiest people, again, not caring less and only caring about the people that you want to help. And then engine, because I don't want you to work that hard. So setting the
mm,
sales engine so you can attract and convert while you sleep and while you do more fun things. And then offers, in terms of just really having the kinds of offers that are in alignment with you, right? Because sometimes, again, like it's going to be so noisy and it's going to be so confusing in terms of, well, should I do this offer or should I do that
mm-hmm,
offer? You got to
mm-hmm.
pause and take a step back to be like, well, does that feel good for you? If it doesn't feel good for you, you shouldn't be doing that, because you're going to get bored of it or something shiny is going to come out again, and then you're going to be distracted with that thing. So start with your why, like the basic stuff, but at the same time make money from that.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so hard for entrepreneurs to sell?
Yeah. I, this is such a profound question because it's really between your ears in terms
Mm,
of, just like it's a mindset game, because I feel, and it's deeper in terms of it's cultural. It's we are like, even your phones, right? Like you are shown ads, and every time you're shown ads, psychologically you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying, I just want to watch my show or listen to this podcast. And so every little nudge like that in your mind, you're just like, well, selling is icky. And then when you talk to somebody and they have a bad experience with a salesperson, because that's the first person you see when you're making a purchase, then they get the bad end of the stick. So you're just like,
mm,
keep having these kinds of thoughts in your head that I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the bad person. And now you're making a bad assumption in your head versus thinking to yourself, how could I be better? That would
mm-hmm,
be a better question, rather than just like, I don't want to be that person. Stay curious and also come from a place of serving, right? Like,
mm,
especially as women, especially as heart led entrepreneurs, don't look at it from why, what can I get out of this? Takes,
mm-hmm.
again, like we care too much. So, um, like, go in there being curious and then having, a sense of, okay, how can I help this person? Because they might not want, invite them for your offer, but if they're not ready, maybe you can refer somebody or give them a free resource or something. But don't be so, oh my gosh, they're about to buy, or oh my gosh, they didn't buy, so that the
Yeah.
next time you have your energy so low that they might have been your best clients but you didn't sell them well.
Yeah. I think we get our feelings hurt when people say no, you know?
I know. It's just like, are we adults selling to adults? Or I mean, are we just like, are we still that kid that, like we wanted dessert, but then our parents told us no, and now we get to try to sneak a little candy, like it's just, again, it's a mindset game.
Yeah.
And we gotta go above that. If we want to serve
Mm-hmm.
plum from a place of heart, and not just a transactional drive-through business. It's not McDonald's. We're not being like, hey, like, can I get fries with that, and just sell like a
Right.
dollar offer here and there.
Yeah, rejection is real. I mean,
Mhm.
guys, let's keep it 100. Rejection is real. Rejection is real in relationships. It's also real in business, as an entrepreneur. And I think, some people may get anxiety and stress out, right? Okay, all right. You're like, okay, to your client, all right, Dianne saying, let's put your offer out there. You have your offer. Let's put it out there. We're shaking in our boots on the inside. Like, oh my God. Like, I don't know. Like, is it too much? Should I bring the price down? I don't know. What if they say no? Do you believe that's what stops people, like you said, in their tracks? Is it's the mindset or what they're thinking in between their ears of what's going to happen?
That's the biggest part, and that's why we create the CEO framework, because again, we focus on the client, we set up your systems so you feel confident, and then we make sure your offer feels good for you, so when you talk about it, you feel confident, you say the price, and it feels in alignment with you. Outside of that, if it's really focused on your client, it shouldn't matter too much about you, right? Like people are making it too much about themselves. Sales is about the other person, not about you.
Yeah, that's true. I think about it when we look at sales and marketing, like you said, McDonald's or, In and Out or whatever companies that you guys love, Apple. Um,
But
they're
see, that's the thing. Like people are buying for themselves, right? Like
hmm
it's not about like Apple saying like, "Hey, you got to buy from us." No,
right.
people are buying because they want an Apple product.
Yes,
So
that's
it's just
true.
again like you create products people want.
Yeah, that is true. Ah, that is true. So, how can I, as an entrepreneur, what's the first thing that I need to do? Like, if I said, okay, I'm gonna use me as an example. And tell me first, does this have to be specific to online business, or could it be like a brick and mortar business or a mobile business?
In terms of making more sales, any business owners that makes want to make sales, it's applicable for, right? Like in terms of, as long as you don't want to just have transactions, as long
hmm
as you actually want to build long-term relationships with your clients that want referrals and have like repeat customers, this is applicable for you.
Okay. So, as someone that, let's say, I'm going to launch as a grief coach.
Mhm.
I'm going to launch an online business doing that. What do you think some of the foundational things that I need to do before I even launch a sale or offer, rather?
So there's a few things, right? Again, like in terms of the C part, it goes back to the framework. So in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the C in the client, right? Like who exactly is the grief coaching for, right? Like in terms of who would you, because there's a lot of people in grief, right? Like so
Yes.
being really, really clear on that. And it's not just the demographics, right? Like going deeper in terms of the kinds of people that you are already in talks with, in terms of, and it's different because the fact that some people, like they want to just serve people that might be at the, I don't want to put a price point, but lower ticket price point versus like a higher ticket price point,
Right.
so you get to serve more people versus maybe like one or two, but it's more hands-on. So
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that you look at the client journey in terms of just like how long will you be working with this person, because sometimes, like grief is so deep that
Yes.
will you just be creating products for them that's just like a one and done? Is it a self-study course? Is it like a one-on-one? Is it like, like all these things, like really, really understanding how is your offer helping this person? And again, like creating an offer that's unique to you. Why should
Mm.
people work with you as a grief coach versus like another grief coach, or an alternative, like instead of grief coaching, maybe they have therapy? So how can you complement those kinds of resources that's available to them?
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to work with you, not just your offer, but also your personality and how you serve them.
That's good. I think like you're talking about right now is that we really need to, as entrepreneurs, really take a moment to really think about who we are, who we serve, our personality, and who's that individual. I love how you said that you've had talks with, because maybe you may not have started your business, but you've been doing your business without it actually being a business. You've been talking with people, offering advice and giving them guidance on what to do, and to really take a moment to look back at that journey and say, okay, like you said, who have I talked to? What have I offered? And I think that's a big challenge for new entrepreneurs, is trying to figure out like who I am, who I'm here to serve, and not be so broad. Like sometimes, we're like, I want to serve everybody.
That's what I did. Learn from my mistakes, people.
I want to save everybody, but you really can't. You have to, if you want to be successful. Like, granted, you can't serve anybody, but if we want to be really successful, it's important for us to know who we're called to serve. Um, and who, like, I love how you said heart led. Like, who is your heart's desire to serve? Who are you passionate about serving? And I believe once we have that down and we're clear on that, and based on what you're saying, then we can kind of make the next step to our engine. We can start creating our funnel and being able to develop our offer for our clients, our future clients.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are just like, well, I see this shiny new tool. It's just like, no, it's backwards. Like the tool is supposed to support your clients and your business. You shouldn't spend all these fancy money and ads and all these things. And it becomes a crutch. And then it takes their focus and their efforts away from their main, like why they were there and their zone of genius. So yeah, so definitely, like, again, like it sounds so basic and simple to say like, hey, like fix your mindset and then figure out who do you really want to work with. But at the end of the day, like there are some people that you've talked with that you're just like, I never want to have that person in my life ever again. Like you get to have those conversations with yourself, and it actually is going to help with your messaging. If you're not talking with people, you're not having conversations, you're not making invitation to and having sales conversations, then that is where the problem is. Sales conversation is pretty much market research, and it's just going to help you to solidify what your offers are.
I love that. You really got to know what. I think sometimes we get so hyper focused on what we see on social media, and we see somebody that we, like, admire, and we're like, oh, I want to do what they're doing. But maybe you don't like one-on-one coaching. Maybe you love group coaching. For me, I love workshops. That's my thing. That's my jam. I thrive off of it. It just brings me joy. Like you said, I'm very passionate about it. So as an entrepreneur, if you're just starting out, you have to find out what brings you joy, what you're passionate about, not what other people think you should do, but what you're passionate about. And I think we get so lost in looking at other people and comparing ourselves.
Yeah, there's 2 points I want to make on this note, especially if you're newer. The first one is being inspired and actually taking action are different, right? Like you can see these things and you're just like, okay, well, that's cool, but what are you doing about it, right? Like take intentional, imperfect actions. Don't just follow a bazillion influencers and then just be like, oh, like I want to do that someday. Like, what can you do right now?
Yes.
So follow those people more. It's the just in time versus the just in case kind of a mentality. The second thing is that I was just talking to a client recently about this. Like she was following an influencer that has like 1 million viewers and followers, and she wanted to recreate that type of a business model. And I'm just like, that's great, but you got to grow into it, right? Like you can be inspired with that, but you have to remember where they came from. So you have to use the strategies to where you're at right now in terms of, okay, like if you're growing, if you want to have a group program, great, but you can't just make one post and expect all your 5 followers to buy from you. That person that has 1 million followers, even though they have 1 million followers, maybe only 5 people have actually bought, because you got to look at your numbers, your data. And that is important. Some people don't like to look at their numbers, and it's important. So yeah, don't just look at the pretty pictures, look at also the numbers, okay?
So you're trying to say we can't just post it one time and then think somebody's going to buy our product or service?
You mean you're going to be like the Insta influencer and make $1 bazillion? I mean, you could the same day that you're going to win the lottery. So make sure that you're doing that. You're buying lottery tickets.
You won't win if you don't play, huh? Oh my goodness. So talk to us from a sales and marketing perspective, the importance of, or not even the importance, the consistency of sharing what you're offering. Because I believe that's another challenge that we have is like we post it one or two, three times, no one buys it, maybe some hearts, but nothing, nothing that leads to sales. Then we get discouraged and like, I'm done.
Well, it's okay to be discouraged because sometimes that leads to even better, bigger things.
Okay.
And so, again, like take a hard look at yourself in the mirror to be like, well, did I actually really want that? Or did I just think it was cool at that moment? And so, from personally, I do not like the word consistency.
Mm. Speak on that, girl. Tell me why.
If you actually, I asked Dr. Google, and Google says the definition for consistency versus the word persistence is
Mm.
different. So
Okay.
I'm more of the person that is just like, if it's not working, stop doing it consistently. Because obviously, if you keep banging your head on the wall, it ain't gonna produce the same results that you want, right? So
Mm.
you want to persist through the hardships, but also be willing to change course if it's not working anymore. And that's okay. Like, that's the hard part is like knowing when to let go and being okay with it.
Mm. Okay. I like that. You touched on a few things that I had to write down on my little notes over here. Imperfect action.
Yeah, I like to. I used to just say imperfect action, but now I say it's I added another word, imperfect intentional actions,
Mm.
because I feel like people take imperfect actions all the time, and then again, like it's just like being that little mouse on a wheel, kind of a hamster on a wheel, where it's
Yeah.
just like you are taking imperfect action, but you keep tripping over yourself. Again, it goes back to persistence. It's just like take
Mm.
imperfect intentional action because you have a goal, you have a mission, you are clear on your plan. And so you're being intentional on that. It's going to be messy, but you're
Yes.
being imperfect, but you're being intentional with those steps. You're getting back up. Even though you got rejected, you know exactly how many conversations you need to have because you know that maybe there's only going to be a 5% conversion for sales. So you continue to have those conversations because you want to help people through your offer. And you know it's so
Wow.
important to do that, so you're so solid in your like the way that you are presenting yourself and the way that you're communicating with people, so you're intentional. So that's the key.
Wow. Be intentional. And you said 5% conversion?
It's between 1 to 10 is industry standards. So
Jeez.
depending on, again, like how warm your audience is and how well you've positioned your offer and stuff like that, that's that's the last I checked. But you can people can
Wow.
beat industry standards, right? Like in that sense. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of knowing how you communicate that with your people.
Be intentional, y'all. Wow. Dianne, you're killing me today, girl.
Oh
Um,
no, yeah.
so, what advice would you give someone who is struggling with self belief and self confidence as a new entrepreneur, putting themselves out there, actually showing up?
Give yourself grace, and again, look for somebody that talk with somebody.
Mm.
Because when you give yourself grace, but you're not actually willing to look at yourself in the mirror and be vulnerable with one other human being that's going to be supportive of you, then you're just going to continue down that rabbit hole of feeling bad for yourself and having that same mentality. And if you're not going to have someone to help pull you up, then you're going to keep having that downward cycle. And it's not a pretty look.
Yeah, that's so true. We do need that support system. As entrepreneurs, I feel that sometimes we go to our friends that are 9 to 5ers, and there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. You can do your passion in a 9 to 5 job, but as entrepreneurs, I think it's important for you to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs. Maybe the ones that are in the messy middle, right? That are a little bit ahead of the game, or the ones that are super successful. They can all offer you some insight and support that you need along your entrepreneur journey, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Go
I
ahead.
think you got to be okay with going into rooms, realize it's not for you, and be willing to walk out the door, because
Mm,
not every room, you gotta be the powerful person that knows exactly what you want and speak up for you what you want,
yeah.
because otherwise people are, like, people are also there. If once you start plugging into these spaces with other entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
not every entrepreneur room is created equal. You know who you vibe with the most, you know what kind of people you want to surround yourself with. There are other people out there that you might look up to, and then the moment that you go into the room, you feel like you're hiding away part of yourself. And again,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not what I want for people. I want people to feel good about being an entrepreneur, and the kinds of people that actually they feel supported. And
Yeah.
so find those spaces. And sometimes you go into a space and it's not what you thought, and it's gonna hurt because you're like, I just spent money to be in this space, and yet everybody's passing me by or not helping me the way
Mm,
that they told me. So get back up, get back out there. If this mission is important to you, you gotta keep pushing through.
yeah. I agree. Takes time to find your tribe, that they're
Yes.
out there. Speak to value and worth as an entrepreneur, um, understanding who you are and what you have to offer to the world is needed. How do we value ourselves and find our worth in what we have to offer?
Um, if so, worth to me, I feel like some people tie their self-worth too much in their stuff, right? Like, in terms, because like, they're proud of it, they pour their heart and soul and all their savings into it and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, again, like, you gotta disassociate what your offers and how and your business from yourself. You might be the face of your business, but you are not your business.
Hmm.
And that goes the same way. Your business is not just you, right? Like, it's a subset of you. So just make sure that, again, like, that's, I feel like that's how people feel down when they get rejected, because their self-worth are so tied with it.
Yeah.
So again, like, just go back to that, and then your worth, people are so um worth more than they give themselves credit for, right? Like, and
Mm,
so just kind of realizing that and grounding yourself in that knowledge, it's going to make you feel more convicted in knowing that you are here and worthy to be in all these rooms and the conversations. And yeah, that's, I feel like that is really what people need to hear more. Is like,
mm-hmm.
you're worthy, stop it.
Yeah. Even if you're new in this business, you're still worthy.
Well, you have experiences. Like, people are discounting all the life
Yes.
experiences that they bring, and you're
Mm-hmm.
being called to be of service to people. So there's
Mm-hmm.
something to that. Lean into that, again, curiosity and the fun and the exploration, and make it about why are you being called, like, stay curious to that, and who are you being called to serve, and like, be more of that energy than like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not worthy, who am I even here for? And that
Mm-hmm.
negative energy, it's a complete mindset shift, but it's so much more empowering. So it just, again, not toxic positivity, because I don't want you guys coming into this blind, but at least you're shifting your energy so you feel at least willing to get out of bed every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Mm. Starts here. So the passion starts here, but you need to start second here with the mindset and the shift in how you feel about your business, and to disassociate your worth from your business, because you are not your business. You have a business brand and you have a personal brand. That's so true. I'm glad you brought that up. Y'all listening? Are y'all listening? Um,
And trust your gut. I think the third part is trust your second brain, which is your gut.
yes, yes, trust it. Oh my gosh. So, how do we deal with setbacks? How do we bounce back from the no's? Ugh.
I think it all comes back to listen to this episode again. It's just, we covered everything. It's gonna be a messy middle.
Yeah.
Plug into these spaces. Remember your mindset. Have the clarity and the structure. Like, it's so basic. And
Yeah.
no matter the next up level, no matter the next like wall that you hit, if you're just starting out, you're starting over, or the next roadblock that you hit, it just goes back to those simple things. It's just like, if do you have the support that you can plug into? Are you clear on why are you doing this? Because yeah, for every up level, for every rejection, it's gonna be messy. And so you just keep getting better. You just keep pushing through. You just keep building the muscle. And pretty soon you're gonna have like that six-pack ab of a business entrepreneur.
You got an entrepreneur abs, huh?
I wish, right? Like if that was the
Right?
case.
Man, if I did, I'll be all cut up right now. Oh my gosh, that is you are too much. Um, okay, so give us. I have two more questions for you. Number
Go ahead.
one, give us a couple or maybe one strategy that we can walk away with. Hopefully, some of y'all will reach out to Dianne and she can guide you through your big 2025 year as an entrepreneur. But give us a strategy that we can walk away with.
Yeah. So a strategy in terms of, if you're just starting out, again, like I guess this applies for any part of your business. The CEO framework, the reason I created it is because, again, like focus on client,
Mm-hmm.
look at your data on that. Are you really like whatever part of business you're struggling with, are you focusing on your client? Are you creating content or that converts? Do you need to save yourself more, like your time in your engine? And are you working too hard doing things manually?
Mm-hmm.
So doing that assessment really is helpful. And then the offers, again, like, is that something that people are even resonating with or just passing you by? So go back to that CEO framework and just assess it for yourself. So by doing the self-assessment, either, again, if you're starting out or just kind of revisiting that, no matter what
Mm-hmm.
year this is that you're listening to, because I feel like people should be listening to this beyond 2025. It's a
Yes.
timeless conversation. So with that, I want you to really lean into the hard. Journal about it if you need to. Some people are not necessarily into journaling, so like, call it whatever you want. Don't be so caught up with the terminologies. Like, I
Okay.
just want people to do a little bit of a self-assessment with those three things. What are you doing for your client? What are you doing for your engine? And what are you doing for your offers? And then that really, the clarity and the structure for those three things is going to help you with your strategy and being
Mm-hmm.
intentional with your actions.
Yes. So I encourage you guys to really listen to Dianne and really take a moment in this month of December as we head out to 2025 to do some self assessments wherever you are in your business. If you're starting out, if you're in the middle, or if you're booming and you're looking to grow to the next level, to really do a self assessment. And I love how you spoke about journaling. I know it's not for everybody, but maybe you can just take some voice notes of your thoughts and going back and listening to them and seeing where you are so that you can position yourself for greatness, for more prosperity in 2025, and not just financial, but even in your spiritual and your mental and emotional prosperity in your life. So speak to your younger self. I always love to ask this question. If you could speak to your younger self, little young Dianne, little IT girl, what would you say to her?
Um, there's a couple things I like to whenever I'm asked this question. The first one is, when it comes to entrepreneurship, don't do it. It's a trap.
You sound like
Because
one of
again,
my
like
other friends. You are too much with that.
because again, like, it's hard, but it's so I just have fun with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
and the second thing is that if you do end up doing it,
Hmm.
you are just in a world beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
Because I never thought of I never thought of the kinds of clients I'll have worldwide. I never thought I would want to be speaking. And yet here we are. And just like
Wow.
speaking on stages with like hundreds of people. It's just like, okay, like I am the kind of person that hide from karaoke when my aunts come over. And so telling this to my younger self is just like, that's why it's just like, you're gonna like, you don't even know what's coming, but
Wow.
it's gonna be so, so fun. And so just it's unimaginable. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you, Dianne, so much. I've had a great time chatting with
Me
you
too.
and talking about life and business. And I just love how you are so heart led and really helping people to be passionate about the things that they've loved, that it's fun, and that it can actually make some money. It can actually be a business.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
important.
Yes. So, y'all, we'll have her information in the show notes. We just thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you in 2025.
You too.
All right. Take care.